Welcome and thank you for joining us. You're listening to the Beyond 50 radio program. I'm Daniel Davis. As we start aging and getting up there in our years, we start to find ourselves getting aches and pains that we just weren't used to when we were young, supple, and limber. Joining us here on the Beyond 50 radio program today is a special guest who's going to be talking about how we can start with the prevention of back problems in the first place and perhaps replace those supple years that we once enjoyed. I'd like to welcome to the Beyond 50 radio program today our guest, Cindy Ballas, who's going to be talking about a wonderful little invention called the Sacrowedgy. Cindy Ballas, thank you for joining us here on the Beyond 50 radio program.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here. There's just so much to talk about today with all the way things are going with the medical industry. The best way to stay healthy is just to not have any problems. So prevention is even more important than ever. And I guess I'll start out briefly how I came to be where I am now, and that's with my father's very simple invention that in the beginning was to help his athletes with back problems. He's a retired football coach and trainer he did that for a good 35 years. So and a friend was an osteopath, and a conversation with him, this goes back to the late 50s, was very simply, Coach, to help with some of those back problems, there's an interesting little osteopathic technique that I've been using, and it was just very simply while your athlete is laying on the training table, take your hand right in the middle of the hips under the sacrum, which is the keystone of our anatomy, and with your hand lift up and hold it. And he did this for many, many years with great success with so many of the athletes. But you have to hold it about 20 minutes before you can actually feel the body release. That's what he was going for, is to get the body to relax. And in turn, gravity would just let the muscles kind of ease into a proper alignment. I read an interesting article the other day how our body is designed to self-correct. So that's what he is allowing this to do. And over the years, after doing that for many years with great success, he developed the Sacrowedgy to mimic the hand, and that was to isolate, cradle, and elevate only the sacrum. It's very important that you get the lift in the middle of the hips and all the surrounding muscles can just relax. So we've been doing this. I've been doing this well over 20 years myself. I just took over the family business. I just didn't want anyone else to market this where it wasn't done honestly, and sometimes we're a little bit too honest for some people. We don't fall into that 30-day money-back guarantee and all of that. It's a little bit different, but it's just so simple. And like Dr. Andrew Weil says, we've got to stop depending on a lot of these expensive high-tech situations to help us with our problems. And back pain does not have an age limit. I work with a lot of athletes, young runners, and believe me, the sciatic issues and the hip and the low back, it has nothing to do with age. It's really just our muscle structure and staying in balance. And last week, a real good friend of mine had her first bout with sciatic pain, and she called me Monday night in tears going like, oh, my gosh, I would rather have 10 children than this one pain. She said it was horrible. She couldn't move. I said, just get on the Sacrowedgy, just lay in the bed and relax and just stay there. Just get cold on that hip and try to get your body to relax. And it's hard to relax when you're in pain. And so she missed work Tuesday, and I went over to her house Tuesday night, and I brought the massage table because it's hard to get on the floor. And her husband, we finally got her to lay down, and I got the Sacrowedgy under the sacrum and started seeing her body relax a little bit, and just did some very, very gentle movements. With her knees bent, I just kind of rocked her side to side a little bit. Didn't do too much at all other than really kind of get her to relax. And I had just a couple of little small trigger points up in the hip. Nothing too much. She was in so much pain. It was hard to do hardly anything. So I left her with a blanket over her, laying up on the massage table on the Sacrowedgy, and of course the neck roll. And she went to work the next day. She said it was not completely gone, but it was bearable, and the twinge would just grab her occasionally, and it's completely gone now. So it just worked itself out, and that's just so important. Just the fact that she had been using the Sacrowedgy for years, she was able to, know the placement and get on it and start relaxing. And it's little things like that. That's why I'm trying to get people to get into prevention. Start using this before you have problems and get used to relaxing on it, and not have to learn how to use it when you're in pain. That's when most people find me is, I've tried everything else, so let me try this now, whereas in the big picture, truly preventing things, you want to try the simple things first.
Well, it seems to make a lot of sense now. You'd mentioned that you have seen even younger people with sciatic pain, and what do you think it is? Is it because of poor posture, or what's going on there?
Poor posture, definitely. Of course, I deal a lot with the younger athletes, and maybe they don't stretch enough, maybe they overextend their stride. I mean, the piriformis muscle attaches to the sacrum and the hips, so every time your heel hits the pavement, you're sending pretty good energy up into that hip, and if you run a little bit off balance, or you could step in a hole, or, athletes do tend to become stronger on one side than the other. It's just the nature of the beast. Look at what golfers go. You're swinging the same move each time. You're using the same muscles, and over time, it's very possible and very probable that one muscle or more will become a little bit tighter. Now, most of the time, that's fine. You just become a little bit stronger. Our body adapts to that. But if you step wrong or move wrong, all Melissa was doing was she was playing volleyball with her daughter, and she's a volleyball player, and just happened to make that one little wrong move, and it grabbed that nerve and took her down. And it's the same thing with runners and the hips, and the muscles become real tight. You don't have as much flexibility. There's just so many reasons for one little muscle to grab a nerve. Knee pain, all of this comes from this. So, and I talked to another friend last night that's been using the Sacrowedgy since about last October, and he was a real typical story. Quite a few accidents when he was younger, motorcycles. We do a lot of things when we're younger that we pay for when we're older.
Isn't that the truth?
But and I could just tell, I had just met him just by the way he moved. I'm so in tune to just watching people, and I could tell he was moving kind of stiff. And I said, what's the matter? I said, you got back problems? He said, I've had them for years, I said, well, I've got something. It's pretty simple. I'd like to at least let you try it anyway. And I saw him last night. He's fine. He's gotten rid of problems that he's had for years. He's just using this on a regular basis. And like, you start out with one elevation pad, and that's just to get a little bit more lift under there. And so he started out with the one and started feeling pretty good after a couple of weeks with that. And now he's up to like 3 elevation pads. Just crank that sacrum up and let everything just relax around it. So now he's into preventing the problems from coming back again. And that's really the best place to be, is prevention.
Now, when you talk about elevation pads, you talked earlier about how the Sacrowedgy works. Let's go ahead and re-invite our listeners to understand how it works, and then when you talk about elevation pads, what the importance of that is.
Okay, well, what my dad did when he was just using his hand was to lift the sacrum a little bit more as the body relaxed. So in developing the Sacrowedgy to mimic the hand, we include it's a 3/4-inch pad that you put the Sacrowedgy on top of. Now, you can go to the website, it's very visual, sacrowedgy.com. That's Sacrowedgy, sacrowedgy.com. There's a picture of the male and the female version because of the difference in our anatomy. But that one lift or that one elevation pad comes with it, and over time, as your body realigns itself, then you can add another lift to that, pick the sacrum up higher, then the hips are really even more free to relax, and these muscles will self-correct. And as the hips relax, that's right where the muscle is that's grabbing that sciatic nerve. So we're actually making or allowing this anatomical correction to take place. This is not just treating symptoms. It's like, and what comes first, bad posture, like you said, or back pain. They do tend to go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. And with these younger kids, they're carrying those book bags on one shoulder, the heavy, book bags and things, and but they can't go to the locker like we used to go. In between classes, they got to carry 50 pounds of books around with them all day. So, some will wear it properly and put it on both shoulders, but most of them are having on that one shoulder, and then sitting more than ever, sitting at the computer for hours on end. And you can also sit on the Sacrowedgy too and travel with it. I take it on the plane. It's in the chair. So that's another big part of the prevention, is taking that dip out of these chairs whenever you're sitting so much. It kind of creates a level plane. Whenever you're sitting, just picture the letter W. You sit on the points. That's the sit bones, the ischial tuberosity. And right in the middle of our body, just like in the middle of that letter, there is a space. Gravity is going to push your body down in this hole. So what we're doing with the Sacrowedgy is just filling in that gap. You stop the drop, because as your body drops, once again, we're back to that piriformis muscle sitting on the sciatic nerve. So that's part of the prevention part. It's just becoming more and more important now than ever that we really keep those muscles in proper alignment, keep the posture good. It's so nice to have something to use if you just have a hard day at work or moving or picking up boxes or just those unusual days. Just go stretch out on the floor, relax 15 or 20 minutes, and give all those muscles a chance to let go naturally.
Mm-hmm. Now, here's some interesting areas that we haven't covered yet that our listeners might be encouraged about. Is a couple of things. First of all, women in pregnancy. You always hear about back pain, generally speaking, with a woman who's going to be having a baby. And then also people who have back surgery. How does the Sacrowedgy, does it help in those areas?
Well, anytime you've had surgery, the muscles are still involved. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what it is, really. And, of course, we have a lot of people that have had hip replacements that, find that that's okay now, but now they're ending up with sciatic or lower back issues, because sometimes it's because you compensated so many years for that injury that you forced some muscles to become stronger, and now that you're starting to walk a little bit more level, you're finding other muscles involved, so you can relax on this and let those muscles start rebalancing again. We've even got isometrics in there, too, to teach people how to strengthen weaker muscles. Whenever you've got muscles that are so strong on one side, they're torquing the spinal column, they're pulling, they're doing most of the work. So we've got isometrics in there, and there's a DVD, and it's on the Internet, too. You've got to strengthen the weaker muscles. It's a combination of relaxing the tighter muscles and strengthening the weaker muscles. So, and even with low back surgeries, I have a letter from a man that had 10 surgeries, and this is still what was helping him to have a more normal life by just relaxing on this. Now, he had to do it every day, but he had to relax 20 minutes every day. It's like, that's really not that hard of an assignment to do to help yourself. Mm-hmm. And then with pregnancy, a lot of the letters that I've gotten over the years, I've got one lady that had sciatica for over 50 years, and it's very common sometimes after childbirth. Like you'll have sciatica during the pregnancy, and sometimes it just doesn't always go away. So about 3 days after you have the baby, you can actually start relaxing on this and let everything kind of ease back into place again and keep that muscle structure balanced. And you can use it during pregnancy. And sitting on this, one doctor said that's really about the only thing that you can do to help with sciatica during pregnancy, because, of course, you can't take a lot of anti-inflammatories and painkillers. But sitting on this, he said what it would do is just lift the baby right up off that nerve. So the sitting part and the traveling is, before the pregnancy, and then just a few days after pregnancy, you can start using it after you deliver the baby. And it's just goes to prevention. It's going to create proper alignment. I've had people here recently that they started out with low back issues, but they're finding that there's some other interesting situations that they've been dealing with off and on for years that are starting to resolve themselves as their body rebalances. Bladder issues, internal problems, elimination problems, it's all connected to the muscle structure. And whenever you're really folded in and your body is out of balance, there's quite a few symptoms that are created. Knee pain can come from a hip being a little bit tight on one side. There's a huge hip-to-knee connection. You've got the IT band down the side, hip to below the knee. The sartorius muscle, longest muscle in the body now, starts at the hip, ends below the knee on the inside. Oh. And then there's a gracilis muscle in the back, another hip-to-knee connection. You've got three things that originate. Of course, there's a lot more than that, but we tend to deal in the three major muscles that tend to jam the pelvic girdle, and that would be the piriformis in the hip, grabbing the nerve. That's sartorius. There's your hip-to-knee connection. And then the big psoas muscle, which starts in the middle of the back and crosses into the front of the thigh. It's the muscle that picks up your legs. So, like if you're walking, I can watch somebody walking or a runner. If one foot kind of sways out to the side a little bit, that's the side you're going to be weak on. That's the muscle that picks up the leg. Ida Rolf had an interesting, she was the originator of a technique called Rolfing. She said the legs, all they do is keep us from falling over. All walk movement originates in the hips. So that's the muscle that picks up your legs. So it's just so important that we stay balanced, and it's just more important than ever that we start getting into some programs to prevent problems. And this is such a simple one, but the problem is the simplicity of it. I was reading through some of the letters, and what happens is people get it, they get relief. One lady wanted me to send her a bunch of brochures because so many other people, her friends and family, didn't know about it. And she said she hadn't been back to the doctor. It's been a miracle for her. She's no longer in pain, but she's having trouble getting other people to use it because it's just so simple, and that's a problem that I hear all the time from people. They go like, God, can't they see how much it helped me? That's the guy last night. He's going, I'm trying to get my boss to use this. He can say, yeah, look, you're standing up great. You're looking good. What are you doing? He said, I got this Sacrowedgy. I've been laying on that. He goes like, oh, okay. And he said it's very frustrating trying to get people to use something. It's too simple, but I think we've got to get back to basics. We have to make some choices now, and it's really important that we, in some of these choices and prevention, are things that we're not used to doing. We've got to eat healthier. We've got to get into the vitamin program. We've got to do more than ever to take care of ourselves. And, don't you agree? It's a lot easier to prevent a problem than it is to get rid of it.
Well, just feeling good, too. That's the most...
Oh, yeah, not having pain, not taking all the meds going through your system. That's another comment. Let's see. This is one from, I think he's Australia. I sent some to Russia a few weeks ago. That was pretty interesting. That was my first experience there. But he said, I'm now spreading the word about this wonderful device, but it is amazing how resistant people are to trying it. They think I'm crazy and that it's a joke and go back to paying expensive physios. I hope I never do that again. I bought the extra Sacrowedgies to give away to relatives with back problems. Thank you for a great but simple idea that works. One reporter, and I love the way he described it, he said, the Sacrowedgy is stunning in its lack of complexity. Pretty interesting way to put it. That I know.
Scientific approach.
Yeah. Well, that's I've got another one that says it's all physics, no chemistry. It's just like it's a drug-free way to relieve these pain and to really help correct the problem. I know you have friends and family, or have you ever had back problems yourself?
Oh, well, I did, yeah. There was one time I was wrestling around with a friend, and the next thing I know, the next morning, I guess I did something kind of strange. I couldn't hardly roll around in bed. And so when you talk about back pain, I'm like, I've never experienced anything like that in my life. And I was like, my goodness, some people live with this stuff. It's just amazing.
They do, and they have to go to pain management places. They teach you how to manage your pain. That's just like, I don't know. I don't get it. So, but I'm trying to get to more and more people than ever before. I just think it's so important that we really do get into prevention. I mean, every household should have this product and start learning how to use it. So when you do have those days that are tough for you, like you did, I mean, it doesn't take much to get that muscle out of balance. It just really doesn't. So then you're used to using it. You know how it feels. You know where it goes, and you just go get on it immediately and just relax on it. I mean, I have never spent the first penny on going to anyone for a back issue, and it's not that I've never had them. I just grew up around this. It's always been there for me, and it's always worked. I stand a lot. I work. I do these shows. I travel. I teach. My granddaughter, well, she's too heavy to pick up now, but, there was a time she always wants to sit in the lap and get held, and just, if you're not used to having a chunky child on your hip, that can be pretty taxing right there. Just things that are unusual, in your life, and of course they always want to pile up in your lap and hold me. She could just about hold me now, but for years that was an issue for me, and as soon as she left for the day, I was on the floor on the Sacrowedgy going, holy cow. So but it's prevention, and I've practiced what I preach. I've had sciatica. I know what that feels like. It will take you to your knees. And it took me about 5 times to really get rid of it. And of course, I've never had it again. And Melissa now has a new appreciation for people with back pain. She went around to everybody at the office, and she's going like, if I ever said anything about you having back problems, I am so sorry. So it does, like you've had it too, so it does give you a new appreciation for what that pain can be. But it's just so nice to have a product that gives you some control over that, and so that you can let the body balance out again. Most issues are a muscle imbalance. Unless there's a trauma of some kind, it's just going to be a muscle imbalance. There was on TV yesterday again, back pain. 80% of the population will at some time have an issue with that. And their advice was that it's going to go away in about 4 to 6 weeks if you just do rest. And, of course, they said heat, but we never isolate an area with heat. We always use cold to kind of get some of the blood and the heat out of that muscle so it's not so involved. And what we use, we always keep it simple. Now, what we use for cold therapy is just put some rice, just uncooked rice, in a Ziploc bag and just keep it in the freezer. It makes a very gentle cold therapy. It's not wet. You can use it over and over and over again, and it's just enough to cool everything down without being alcohol solution or anything like that. Now, you do want to make sure you get the air out of the Ziploc bag and you zip it real good. My mother did not one time, and she had rice everywhere.
Oh, no.
So it pops. So I always tell everybody, be sure you get the air out. One elderly man called me. He said, I hadn't seen that much rice since my wedding night. He said, you told me to get that air out. He said, now I know why.
Now, Cindy, if you could tell our listeners how they can find out more about the Sacrowedgy outside of listening to this program here. Well, and the other key question, too, is because we're dealing in back pain, and this is a way through prevention that we can alleviate that, have people using the Sacrowedgy experienced pain in using it?
Oh, sometimes it can hurt like the devil. No doubt about it. But you've got to relax through that. That's that resistance of those muscles trying to, not let go. I know that was the thing with Melissa. I had to just relax, over and over and over. And I've heard some people, that have some interesting comments, the ones that really understood what was going on. And just one guy said he felt like a thud or a clunk, and then after that happened, everything was gone. I mean, everybody's body relaxes differently, responds differently. Some people, one lady said she could only tolerate it 5 minutes at a time because it hurt her so bad. But she stuck with it, and for 2 weeks there, every day she'd give it a little 5 minutes and get up and go on about her business. And after 2 weeks of doing that, her regular little 5 minutes, she got up and the pain was gone.
Mm-hmm.
So it had just worked its way out. Everybody's different, and I have so much information. You can go to the website, and then if you want to call the office, I'll be glad to send a brochure. It's 1-800-737-9295. That's 1-800-737-9295. Or the website has so much information. We've got 25 pages of testimonials, and they range from every age, every symptom you can possibly imagine. It's like reading a novel. I mean, I've got a book printed with a lot of the testimonials, and I'll just sit there and start flipping through them. It's just amazing what people go through, how many years they go through it, all the things that they've tried, and they get this little $30 product and start laying on it, and everybody's response time is different. That's why I really like reading through these, because this is how we've learned. And that's the website is Sacrowedgy.com. That's Sacrowedgy. So much information. My son does the website. We are a family business. Everything is made in the U.S. So, we handle everything ourselves, do printing, everything. I'm starting to teach now some classes to therapists to teach some of the routines. And there's part of a video on the website. If you go just to the left side of the page, you can click on the video, and that's me, demonstrating how we use the Sacrowedgy. And it's just so simple. You basically just lay there and relax for the most part.
Well, great. So the website again, Cindy?
That's, of course, www.sacrowedgy.com. That's Sacrowedgy, Sacrowedgy.com. And, of course, the name is sacro for the sacroiliac. It's the sacrum, and it's the bone that wedges between the hips, and it's also a wedge-shaped bone. So the words kind of kept going back to that, and mother came up with the wedgie thing, so anyway.
Used to be picked on a lot as a little girl, huh?
There's 4 girls in the family. That was not something she knew anything about, so it was just kind of a catchy word, so there it is.
Well, Cindy, thank you for being on the Beyond 50 radio program. It's nice to know, as we consistently provide this on the program, is that prevention is the key to health and wellness, and it's always a lot easier to prevent something than it is to basically fix something that becomes.
And we can fix it too, but to me the true value of this product is it's nice that you can get through whatever issues you're having, but it's even better that you can prevent them from happening again. So you're absolutely right. Prevention is the key to good health.
Very good. Cindy Ballas, thank you for joining us here on the program today.
Thank you.
You bet. So there you go, folks. Sacrowedgy. Just go and visit the website and alleviate that back pain or prevent it in the first place. Also, be sure to visit us at our website at Beyond50Radio.com. Sign up for our free weekly e-newsletter as well. I'm Daniel Davis. This is the Beyond 50 radio program. Remember, live your day past halfway.